And you know what the CIA did? The CIA, who was in control of approximately 250 media outlets, went to all those media outlets, radio stations, TV stations, and said, if you have anyone coming on to question our theory, call them a conspiracy theorist. And do you know why they did that? Why do you think they did that? It's a really genius move.
They had like
They're going against authority.
Because they said, this is dangerous to the government of our country. They are questioning the government.
Oh, they don't want them to have knowledge or what's going on.
What they're basically doing is shutting down discussion.
It's like brainwashing them.
Saying, if you're going to say that, you're just foolish. So what Diego was saying, he wasn't trying to say this, but he was saying it indirectly without knowing it, is he was calling me foolish. I think I've demonstrated to you in a short period of time, I'm not foolish. I study before I talk. Not to know the right answer, but to ask the right question. Conspiracy theorists is an unfair attack against a person, and it shuts off legitimate discussion of an issue. So be sure you don't label each other conspiracy theorists. Let me also say this to you. We talked about the idea of this being a spiritual world. We wrestle not against what?
Flesh and blood.
But against what?
Principalities.
And powers and spirits in high places. I'm quoting the Bible now. This is a spiritual world we live in. Go home tonight when you guys have some time. Just Google King James Bible. How many times is the word conspiracy in it? There are multiple specific usages of the term conspiracy in the Bible. If anyone's ever read a book called The Art of War, and you guys are all pretty young, so maybe you haven't read it. Okay. In The Art of War, Sun Tzu, what is one of a general's first objects as it relates to fighting a war?
To take down the enemy and to remove their resources, stuff like that.
To trick them. We know to deceive them. And in a war, we know we live in a spiritual war. Satan is the general of the dark side. Do you not think he has his people conscripted into his army who have an object, who have a conspiracy against those who are in the Lord's army? Am I a conspiracy theorist?
No.
Hell yes, I am. There is an immense conspiracy. There's an immense conspiracy from Satan and the people who serve him against those who serve God. Now, does that mean I believe in all these foolish theories that some young kid who masturbates too much in his garage is putting out is legitimate? No, it doesn't. This is important, guys, because what happens is people make what are called strawman arguments. They take the most foolish arguments, and then they take legitimate questions to the narrative, and they characterize these legitimate questions with the foolish arguments. We're living, you guys don't know this yet, but you guys, I believe, are going to be alive to see Jesus come back. And that means that you guys are going to work in his service, or you're going to work against him accidentally, because there are no two choices in this war. I was telling my children just a couple weeks ago, we did this great controversy meeting at our house, and we had a really cool one last night. I wish you were there. Your sister did a superb job, and your brother asked a really good question at the end, or made a really good comment about being afraid. But right now, there's a young girl who is your age. How old are you?
I'm 13.
Okay, there's a young girl. She's from Sweden. Her name is Greta Thunberg. Who is she?
She's an activist for climate change.
Yes, she is. How many people are listening to her?
A lot.
What do you mean by a lot?
Like, there's quite a bit of people that know.
131 countries, there are people.
Hundreds of thousands of people. This young woman addressed the United Nations. You guys know what the United Nations is, right?
Yeah, it's like a league.
The United Nations is just that. It's a unity of nations. And I don't know if this is a coincidence or not, but the United Nations flag You guys know that is
Yeah.
the emblem is of the flat Earth. They use a flat Earth in their emblem. My point is this: that young woman right now, she is making an argument for what?
Climate change.
What is she saying?
She's saying that we need that the government and like people actually have to do something so that we can actually like not die so early.
Okay.
So our
Instead
Earth
of doing the
survives.
same wrong things, we need to bring an abrupt halt.
You're exactly right. But this is the thing. In 2015, and I'm not saying this in any way to be mean to Catholics, my whole family's Catholics on both sides. But in 2015, the Pope came to this country, and right before he came, he released a document, something called an encyclical. That's a formal paper, formal theological paper. And in that paper, do you know what he talked about? He talked about climate change. He said the only way to solve this world's problems in terms of equality of people, protecting the poor, economic safety, and ecological safety, do you know what he said the only way to do that is? What do you think? You guys don't say it.
Let them.
What do you guys think?
To act upon things, or
Can I
maybe
say?
if he's
No,
the Pope,
let
so
him
he
say
said something like
What he
prayer.
said is we need 1 day a week for rest. What day is that?
Sunday for them.
Sorry.
Well, he's talking to the whole world. He's
Sunday.
saying we need a day. And he's Catholic,
He's-
so what is he going to say?
Paragraph
The whole world
237
should
in that encyclical.
Sunday, that's what it said.
That paragraph says that Sunday, like the Catholic Sabbath, is a day that everybody needs to observe. And that needs to happen for the common good of everybody. The common good, common is a root word for communism. Common good means that if everyone over here on this side of the room, us, something's all good for us, but it doesn't work with your agenda, you're in trouble. This movement that this young girl is spearheading, I believe, is related to that end times movement. And I'm tying this to the flat earth discussion for this reason. This world is largely going to be, this world is not largely, this world is going to be against those who firmly adhere to God. And it's going to be an unpopular message.